Good morning and welcome into Local 4's 4 Things You Need to Know to start off your day. Today is Friday, January 16th. I'm Ian Mason. Let's go ahead and jump into some news. Nebraska State Auditor Mike Foley is alleging favoritism by the governor in a new report, claiming Pillen steered $2.5 million in state contracts to his preferred choice instead of following the required bidding process. The Nebraska Examiner breaking this news, saying the contract was awarded in May of 2024 by the Nebraska Department of Economic Development to a single bioeconomy consultant and lobbyist, Julie Bushel. Foley says state law was broken because the department, under Pillen's direction, bypassed the required process for contracts of over $50,000. Instead, the contract was labeled as an emergency contract, allowing the department to skip bidding. But neither Pillen's office nor the department explained what the contract was or why Bushel's firm had to be chosen. Foley's sent a letter to Pillen's office earlier this month noting the contract did not comply with legal requirements. He's also asking the legislature to consider tightening the rules for this session to require more offices, including his, are notified before any emergency contracts are approved. Any other consequences for Pillen or the department are outside of his office's authority. For nearly 30 years, Nebraska Medicine has operated as a partnership between Clarkson Regional Health Services and the University of Nebraska, but now Clarkson wants to walk away in a deal worth $800 million. According to Dr. Jeffrey Gold, Clarkson approached the university a year and a half ago saying it wanted out of the joint ownership of Nebraska Medicine. Under the proposal, the university would pay $500 million for Clarkson's stake in Nebraska Medicine plus $300 million for land and buildings. Clarkson would also donate $200 million to the university's Project Health, the largest single gift in university history. But Nebraska Medicine's board is fighting back, calling the move a state takeover that could hurt patient care. The health system says the deal is being negotiated without their input and warns it could threaten the independence of medical experts. Dr. Gold strongly disagrees and said the university won't take any money from Nebraska Medicine to support academics and that Nebraska Medicine won't be giving money to the university. He says this keeps the two entities financially separate. The Board of Regents is scheduled to vote on that deal today. Stick with Local 4 for updates. And at the state capitol on Thursday morning, Governor Jim Pillen gave his State of the State address. During his speech, Pillen detailed the accomplishments of Nebraska and how the state is looking to the future. The governor highlighted Nebraska's partnership with the Trump administration, which includes becoming one of the first states to ban soda and energy drinks from SNAP programs and working with ICE to open an immigration detention center in McCook. He says the state is reaping the benefits of that partnership through a bump in financial funding for road projects and rural economy investments. At the state level, Pillen says his administration succeeded last year in helping shrink the government by cutting costs and waste like a business. Pillen continued touting the state's growing economy, saying there are over 2 million Nebraskans living the good life. He noted that the state's economy is incredibly broad, making it, quote, recession-proof in his eyes. For full details, you can check out our Local 4 app on Roku. And today we're going to have an extra story because it is Friday and this story is near and dear to my heart. Let's go ahead and we're going to start off with some file video from the Hastings Parks and Rec celebration of May the 4th, which is still a few months away, but some lighthearted good news you might have missed from yesterday. The Walt Disney Company has announced that Dave Filoni will become the co-president and chief creative officer of Lucasfilm, and Lin-Win Brennan will serve as co-president, both replacing the controversial Kathleen Kennedy. Dave Filoni established himself almost entirely on the small screen at Lucasfilm, starting off with the Star Wars The Clone Wars movie in 2008, then leading the series through 7 seasons. He has since gone on to be the executive producer of The Mandalorian and Book of Boba Fett and created the Ahsoka series. Kennedy has been on the helm of Lucasfilm for over a decade, overseeing the original cancellation of The Clone Wars and the highly contentious Star Wars sequel trilogy. According to fans, Kennedy struggled to deliver the magic that George Lucas captured in the original Star Wars trilogy, which started in 1977, and her relationship with Star Wars loyalists became a saga of its own. While at Lucasfilm, her biggest success came with the J.J. Abrams-directed Star Wars The Force Awakens, which grossed more than $2 billion worldwide. However, the subsequent Rian Johnson movie, The Last Jedi, was bitterly divisive, and the third film, Abrams' The Rise of Skywalker, was panned by critics and audience alike. Struggles over tone and vision have been frequent, with around a dozen projects announced and later on canceled, with many projects having directors fired in the middle or during post-production, like Solo, a Star Wars story. In fairness to Kennedy, the only Star Wars movie that released during her stewardship to win widespread and prevailing approval from Star Wars fans was Rogue One, a Star Wars story which led to the spin-off series Andor, which is critically acclaimed. Kennedy's fingerprints will still likely be on many upcoming Star Wars projects, including this year's The Mandalorian and Grogu, which is set to be released in May. Today is going to be very windy outside today. We're going to see temperatures just barely above freezing. 35 is going to be the average high for the Tri-Cities. Winds strong coming from the north-northwest at over 30 miles an hour sustained throughout parts of the day. And then we're going to see those winds progress. And, today's going to be the windiest day. Those gusts, of course, could be above 50. We're also going to see chances of snow today. Not anything widespread, but with snow falling and wind that strong, visibility is sure to be hindered. So be careful as you are out driving today. Now, as we move to our 7-day forecast, windy conditions stick around until Monday. A high of 15 on Saturday, starting off that morning, 9 degrees, by the way, 8 degrees Sunday morning, but back into the 40s on Sunday, just above freezing, or I guess at freezing on Monday, Martin Luther King Day. Low of 18 on Tuesday morning, then 50 outside before we start to cool down again later on in the week. The biggest thing to notice, every single day has a wind component with it, so be careful. That'll do it for me. Thank you so much for watching Local 4's 4 Things You Need to Know to start off your day. We'll see you right back here later on. I am off next week, but until then, have a great one.